drive the value of rights higher. It does offer partnership arrangements. You know, we have partnered with Sky on a number of occasions. So I think we see it as threat and opportunity, to be honest. I think it shows the premium value of top quality sport. I think we will see further sort of fragmentation and separation of rights. And I think the thing is, individual governing bodies are going to have choices. I mean, they have them now, of course, and they're going to have to weigh up, you know, commercial considerations against audience considerations. And it's interesting, some sports are you know, seeing themselves entirely behind a paywall, others are looking at share arrangements. So I think there's probably individual consequences across a whole range of different sports as to the way that this will unfold over time. But one thing is for sure, it is an unbelievably competitive environment. Maybe a sports channel is a slightly dated idea, because you've either got your sport for choice, you've got too many to fit within a single channel, and then you've probably got other times where actually there possibly isn't the live sport necessarily to sustain a sort of wet Wednesday morning. Actually, I think if you look at the BBC website and you look at the volume of video that is available there, what you have is a facility that can expand for an Olympics when you've got effectively 24, well, 25, 26 channels running simultaneously, but at another time can slim right down. So I think the way forward is to have that flexibility and to be able to expand actually when the content is there. We've been busy this past year trying to make sure that we have a good rights portfolio going forward, and indeed have signed up some events for significant periods. Wimbledon, Six Nations, Commonwealth Games. We have a new two-cycle Olympic contract with the IOC, which will see the BBC covering the Olympics right through to 2020. And we've had to make choices, we've had to make prioritisation. If you know that you're facing budget cuts of 20%, that's not easy. We've got the share now in Formula One, but we shouldn't forget those rights still stretch to 2018.
Sure.
Match of the Day recently renewed. So I think ours has been trying to ensure that we have the highest possible calibre sports rights portfolio stretching forward.
How does the sharing thing, I'm fascinated, because it's not just Formula One, you have a similar arrangement, I think, on the Masters.
We do, the Masters golf, yes.
How does that work, that relationship between yourselves and Sky on F1 and the Masters? Is it an uncomfortable place to be for a broadcaster? Do you compare each other's output, or do you manage to just deliver two different services to different levels?
I think if we go to the Masters, where Sky are the live broadcaster for 4 days, and the BBC comes in for the final 2 days, it's very clear in our discussions as to why Augusta wanted to keep the BBC, and it was the reach that the BBC can offer. And if you look at the audience coming to the Masters, about 90% of that audience comes through the BBC. So, you know, I'm not going to pretend that it's not very tough financially, but I do think the BBC has other things to bring to the table. What we also saw, which I think was quite interesting, was a pattern during the day. So you tended to have a surge on the mobile in the morning, literally as people were getting up and sort of checking. Slightly more PC, understandably, during the office day. Again, a peak with mobile in the evenings, and then as the evening progressed, an increase in use of tablet. So quite interesting patterns across the day. However, I think we must never lose sight of this. The primary way that people experienced the Olympics was through their TV set. And I think that sit-back experience still is the way that most people consume sport. We do have an ability to distribute 3D on one of the BBC HD channels. So chose just a few moments, opening ceremony, Usain Bolt, and there were an evening highlights. those that experienced that 3D coverage enjoyed it and actually said it enhanced their experience. Is it mainstream yet? Does it work in all sports? I think that the jury's still out in many ways. I think what's interesting is we're seeing other technology now coming online. Supervision, there were some experiments done in London 2012, which is 16 times HD quality. Absolutely sensational. So it will be quite interesting actually as whether we're almost already seeing a generation that will be beyond 3D.
Barbara, the Paralympics, how disappointing was it for you to not be the TV broadcaster for the Paralympics?
Of course it was. These rights were determined, must have been 2 or 3 years prior to the Games. They were separated from the Olympic rights, separately negotiated. I mean, all I'll say there is we were very proud of the record that we brought in to that negotiation. We had another broadcaster who, put a very, very impressive bid on the table. And, if you look back, I mean, in some ways the Paralympics had a choice. They had a choice to be part of a broader BBC Olympic family, or they could be with a broadcaster and shine in like a single spotlight. And some of what Channel 4 did in their build-up programming, I mean, was absolutely stunning. So, I mean, you'll have to ask the Paralympic authority, but I think you could understand and you could see the benefits of having the sole attention of another broadcaster. Yes, there would have been all sorts of benefits that would have come through the BBC in terms of cross-promotion, in terms of being part of a narrative that ran right through. But, I mean, the Paralympics were just a tremendous success as well. I mean, some of that was just, sensational.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you agree that's been fascinating. Will you please join me in thanking our guest, Barbara Slater.